Better. So actually I had a client, same problem. The dog comes to our daycare for the daycare and train. And first session, great. First couple weeks, great. And then she came for her second session. She's like, I've been struggling with the dog not listening. And I was like, what's your number? She's like, 25. And I'm like, go to 35. And the next thing she shot me an email. She's like, Jesse, one tap on 35. And she was great for the hour-long walk. And I'm like, yeah, that was it.
Just not high enough.
Yeah.
To begin.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, and that's something like, even with like the squirrels and stuff, like, I would say from everything I've seen here, his number is definitely going to be higher. Okay. When you teach something new, you would go down low and then work your way up again. And as you're teaching that, you repeat that process until you find out, like, yeah, in order for her to give us a really good recall, he needs to be at 80. So then anytime I'm gonna call him, I'm already at 80. Okay. Okay.
It's really good outside recall. I think just like times I'll notice inside, like he just doesn't want to pay attention.
Inside?
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, that's pretty common.
Yeah.
The other thing is, do you practice recall inside the house?
Not really.
Right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't transfer right. Okay. Now, in my opinion, because he's not a robot, right? Is like my pit. My pit is a speeding tank when I call her. Okay. Here, off of anything. In the house, she'll be on the couch. Lex, let's go. She'll like wake up. She'll like make a face, start wagging her tail. I'm like, Lex, come on, let's go. Right? I'm like, Lex. And she'll do it, and then finally she'll get up and then she'll stretch, right? Yeah. And then she comes to me or whatever. And I don't care because I know it's the house, like it's whatever, right? Yeah. It's like if you're waking up and then someone's like, oh, wash the dishes. Like, I just woke up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So in the house, I'm forgiving because like, who cares, kind of. But definitely outside, like it's not gonna be like if he's lazy in the home, he's gonna be lazy outside. Like if you got great recall outside, that's where it's gonna matter.
You say even like almost initially, like even when we were at the dog park before he got the respiratory infection, he was like he'd be playing with dogs and say Gilmore come, like he's sitting next. Nice. Yeah. So it's pretty key. It's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Sorry guys. Yeah, I think the other thing that all the behavior we saw this week is he's been a lot more reactionary to the cat. Not like, I would say, aggressive, but just interested.
Sure, because I think last week you said he was actually like not...
He was actually, yeah, he was doing great last week. I think he's becoming more curious, and he's pushing his boundaries with her a little bit, which is making her stressed.
Gotcha. See what happens after we raise that number this week. What's the number you said that you usually go to?
So I eventually get to 70. So.
70, okay, I'd start off at 70.
Okay.
Start your walks on 70, and then see how that impacts his behavior.
Okay.
Okay, because that leniency outside, even though like you're not seeing it as leniency, you're seeing it as like what Jesse told you, he's reading it as leniency, because he knows it can go to 70, but you're starting at 20, you know? So then now that we know this, I would just say start at 70, and you're gonna see those walks get a lot better very quickly, and you're not gonna have those issues, okay? And then we see if that settles him down. So I don't think that's respiratory infection stuff. I just think it was because numbers go.
Yeah. I could definitely see that, because like when you get to 70, just...
all of a sudden,
hey! Yeah, like, oh, this is where I'm at.
Yes, so yeah, super common.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
We fell into the pitfall of not going high enough.
Yes, almost everybody does. Yeah. So it's okay.
So we should maintain 70 for a while. Though. I think what we were thinking was that he was getting better, so we were loosening up.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so that's how it works.
Just keep going. Just keep.
Right. He dictates the number.
Yeah.
His behavior, his response dictates the number. Right. I get some clients. Well, yes, the number goes up, and then over time it goes down. It might go 70 to 50, and the dog's great on 50. But for some dogs, it might be 70. You know, what we don't want is up, down, up, down, up, down.
Yeah.
It's just if you're like, yeah, 70 is the perfect number, and we remote him once in a while because he's so respectful of it. Like that's what I'm trying to achieve. Okay. Yep. But yeah, it's super common, you know. But try that out, and then we'll see what the difference is for this week. Okay.
Sounds good.
Perfect. All right, let's get started.
So recall, correct?
Yep.
So I think we only did one class on recall. Was that right? Right. So there's two halves to this. We're gonna clip them up. Practice how you've been practicing, okay? And then we're gonna add the second half of it.
Okay.
Get away from the band, we got a bucket now. Oh, that dog right there. I think everybody's trying to enjoy the last days of fall.
I think we only have
Pretty warm
4
today.
days.
Before it switches up. There we go.
I feel like a magician. It just keeps on rolling.
Yes.
No. You guys are using the word come, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just wait for him to say come.
Okay.
Good, we're gonna do 2 more. Good. 1 more. Good. We're going to swap handlers here. Good. 2 more. Good. 1 more. Good. Nice little distraction. Good. Good. I know, that's all I was saying. Good. All right.
If it was a stick, I probably would have been.
So, unlock that. Recall looks good, speed looks good. So what we want to do here is, let's say you call Gilmore. I have another dog who's Regression. So and these are Regression, and when I look at them, I think Regression, so I was thinking of that other dog. So if I call Gilmore, he comes to me, right? And he puts his butt down. If I were to move away from him, what do you think? Yes,
You should get up and move and say,
yes, so the movements back for the recall are one to differentiate yourself from the environment, right? When you call up, other things are going to be happening, and that's like the visual cue of the return, right? But once he's landed, I have this what I call my side step exercise, and I do it for a couple of reasons. One is to cement when I call you, okay? So he comes, he lands, he puts his butt down. I move like this, he should immediately follow with that butt down. I move backwards, he follows with that butt down, okay? So people get confused, they'll usually think the dog should stay. Because you call them and they put their butt down. Okay? They should stick, okay? So we're gonna add these movements. The other reason why I do this is because to force confusion or panic. So if I move and he doesn't move fast enough and I tap him, he might think like, well, I already came. So that must not be the answer, and he'll run off. Okay? So if he runs off, I keep promoting and I move backwards to correct that. I don't call him. Because we're teaching them, you know, when you feel remote, your answer is never to run away from you. The answer is always to come to you. Right? So we're doing this to put ourselves, you know, in a situation where we're more likely to confuse him. So I want to proof all this stuff now while you're on the long leash, so we don't have to worry about that when it's pretty often. Which is why also whenever you call Gilmore at the stage, there's a column you're promoting him to confuse him at some point. Because if you tap him after he's moving towards you, you might think that was incorrect. Run the opposite way, and I'm like, nope, get your butt open. Okay? So it's super simple approach to do it. Any direction but forward like is up to grip. Okay? So if he comes to you, you don't want to move like this. Why? Because you're coming towards him. He's over here, right? Yes. Okay. So because Gilmore's already landed. Okay. So you are correct though. If I'm never moving to Gilmore, you always move away from him to draw him in. Okay. But once he's landed, this looks like heel. So I don't know if he's default healing or understanding moving me. So I do like backwards. I'll do immediately to the side. So I wouldn't turn like this. That again is forward. Okay. I would go like this, very upward, or even angled out like this. Okay. Things that he does not know how to deal with is what I'm doing.
How many steps?
Not 2 to 3.
Okay.
So you'll call him, he's gonna land, pick a direction. You do it, he moves towards you, great. I let him settle first, wait a moment, then the next one. Let him settle, then the next one. Okay? If some people keep moving and you have to let him settle first before you go to the next side step motion. If he doesn't follow you, you would simply remote. Okay? And he should see it. If he's closer, that tells me great, he's getting that conflict. When I feel this, I need to use my owners. There's no words here. You know, we don't say come with me or anything like that. It's all built into the default command as a default behavior. Much like heel, right? Walk with me, stay with me, sit when I stop. You don't say anything else. You say heel. Everything kicks in once you do that.
Because he can dart at something.
He can dart, correct. So once
he
you
can
do,
think that she's like going back and forth.
yeah, and that might happen as well. Right? So then what I do is I would shorten it, and I give about like where you have it right there. It's probably like 6 to 8 feet. Yeah. Hold it about there. You want it slack. So if you tap him and he gets confused, he still has some space to get away, but not 30 feet of space to get away. Okay? And I'll coach you through it. Who's gonna go first?
So we really need to feel Gilmore to come.
That's safe to
And
say.
then sit, nothing after that, except once you
Correct.
step right down, move it, unless he starts.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. So we're doing the same thing. We're just adding an extra step now. Right. Good. Tap, tap, tap. Yeah, lock that leash. Remember the lock? Wait a moment. Tap, tap. Wait a moment. Do you remember how to lock it? Tap, tap. Wait a moment. Tap, tap. Okay, you got it, yeah. Wait. Tap, wait. Good, wait. Tap, tap, tap. Wait. Tap. What's your number?
60.
70. Tap. Tap. Wait. Right. Now back. Wait. Wait. Yep. Wait a moment. Good. Tap. Tap. Tap, tap. Now here he's too far, right? There. Good. And you fixed it on his own?
Yeah.
Good. So wait. Break. Break. Good. And just be mindful of that slack if he tries to run off here. Good. So you called it, right? He kept prematurely, yeah. But once you hit 70, what happened?
Yeah, he just sat
He's right, like, and then he even thought about it, and then corrected himself. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right, go ahead and lock that leash. Right, wait a moment. Good. Good. Good, praise. Good, and break. Good, we're gonna do 3 more.
You look more underweight to you this weekend?
No, I was actually gonna point out that he looks better. I feel like by the ribs kind of filled out a little bit.
I usually don't see him this far, so.
No, he does look better. As long as he follows, it's good. As long as it's instant. Like, see how as soon as she started moving, he started moving with her? Yeah. We don't need to do anything. Now, if he delayed or anything for like a second or so, you'd have to kick him with that tap to bring him in closer. Very good. Good. Break, break. 2 more. They're there for Carlotta. Did you take her out? Okay. Bump. There it is. Good. You're good. Release. Tap, tap, back, tap, tap. Good. Good. Tap, tap, tap. Tap. Good. Good. And break. Go and swap handlers. Good. Tap, tap. Wait. Yeah, pause for a second. Yep. Wait. Back. No, well, he's right on you, right? Yeah. No, we don't tap that. We don't tap this, but you can move back or to your right. Good. And praise. And break. Yeah, that's really close when he's sitting on top of you.
Yeah, you did that twice in a row. Right on my foot.
This is the other thing, is this can make that a little bit more for the dog, like immediate.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of tightness is where they're less likely, much less likely to preemptively break or chase after something again.
Come on, Tom.
Tap, back, tap. Tap, tap. Good, yeah, get that lock on, good. Tap, 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 good. Good. Good, and break. Good, 3 more.
Come on, come.
Tap. Good. Very good. And break, we're gonna do 2 more.
Gilmore, come.
Good. Very good. Break. Good, and 1 more.
We need to move a little bit more towards this way.
Yeah. I know when it happens all the time. We're doing recall. It just ends up like going across the park.
Just kind of drift away.
Gilmore, come.
Good. Tap, tap, tap. Good. Good. All right, good. Good. And break. Good. All right. So, for whatever reason, like the first 2 that you did, wanting to like bolt it, right? Either through like assuming that we might, Matt might take him again. You know, that whole back and forth process.
Yeah.
Or like confusion with the movements. So like the first one, I think the last one are the ones we end up doing that. Everything else in between was pretty good.
Yeah.
But that's why I do this exercise, is to make sure that we can approve that stuff. I already know like all the things that could happen. You know, most people think like once you train the dog, everything's good. But no, there's like a lot of problems that happen.
Yeah.
And you know, this is one way that we can force that, work through it. Like when I forgot who called him, but he stopped for some reason, like a scratch or whatever, in the middle. You remember?
Yeah.
Right, and right there, as soon as I see him stopping a scratch, I might bump it or start remoting and moving back and like get over here, right?
Yeah.
Because, and he showed a few other things, like for you when he was returning, I don't know if you noticed, he was putting his nose to the ground, and then he like stopped to sniff the tree.
Yeah, I did that one.
Right. So what does that tell us?
He's trying to find an out. Like he's trying to figure out how he can like take that in right now.
Kind of.
Is his number too low?
Kind of. Yeah, you're both correct. So I'm thinking we're doing 70 now, right?
Yeah.
And it fixed that whole thing very quickly.
Yeah.
You notice that shift, right?
Yep.
But then on a few of them, he was willing to still sniff the ground, go to the tree, or stop midway, which tells me the number's high enough to like fix one thing, but not high enough to make him think like I need to get this done immediately, right? So like when I have dogs that when we're doing the heel, I'll kind of like on the second class, the owner's like, the dog walks straight but the nose is on the ground. And I'm like, yeah, that's because the dog doesn't respect the command. So it's like, yeah, sure, I'll do it, but I'm gonna do this too. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, like you have my attention. I'm not like, yeah, sure, like, you know, texting a bunch of people and all stuff constantly on my phone. I'm giving you my time, right? Because it's important.
Yeah.
Same thing for him. If I tell him to do something, if it's important, this stuff sniffing the ground, what's over at that tree, you know, stopping a scratch or whatever, or like when the dogs get tangled and they're like jumbled up, I'm like, yeah, I know you're tangled, but you still need to get over here. You know?
Yeah.
So then he's like, okay, so because in a realistic context, where he's chasing something, running towards something, or running away, you're not gonna. There is no option to deviate. It's get over here and get over here now. Okay. So reading little things like that tells you stuff about how he feels about the command itself. So what I would do when I practice with him, be mindful of that now, and go like, oh wow, you know what, Justin was right. When we call him, he does like to sniff the ground a bit before he comes to us. But most people would see it as the dog coming to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I'm going, yeah, but the dog was still just like willing to like sniff and be distracted.
Yeah.
So then I go to 75, then I go to 80, then 85, and then maybe at 85 you notice like, wow, like it is a straight shot, no questions asked, here I am, in terms of the response. And I go, okay, cool, 85 is that number. Because what you're training here, what we're practicing, is what you're going to get in real life.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why I always push for speed, and I always push for a very sharp turnaround on the come command.
Yeah.
Because if he's running towards the street, if I don't have a free type of movement or response, more likely to keep moving
pushing it to be like respond quickly.
Yeah. There are a few times that I feel like you're just super like lagging.
Yeah.
Just moving, just walking slower.
There's like a difference between like you and me too. Like you come quickly to me, and I saw sometimes it was going slower to you.
Yeah, there were like a few. There was like twice that you just like, I'll get there.
Sure.
Yeah, like I may like stroll or trot over there.
Yeah.
So when we work on, now we're going to start like working on specific things. Okay, so this is all of recall. It's very simple. Come to me, stay with me, and then if I move, you move with me. Step by step. Do not leave my side, right? I like to work in topics. So right now the topic was to make sure that things cements to you and stays to you, fixing anything that makes something, right? But then we now pointed out that he dilly-dallies on some of them, or is willing to like sniff the ground and be distracted, right? So then that might be a topic where I go, okay, now my next batch of recalls, I'm going to play with that number to see what's going to make it be more immediate and stop that, okay? And chances are with a higher number, you're also going to create speed or a really quick turnaround, right? But you're focusing on one thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if you try to do speed, the turnaround, you're not getting distracted, and like side movements, it's too many things that nothing's going to be perfected, okay? So even though I'm working on one thing, and it may fix other things, I'm really still targeting the one thing.
So is there like a benefit to like being somewhat high, and letting it lapse a little bit? Or like,
so you can correct that?
Yeah. Like, or should we just start higher?
I usually just start higher.
Yeah.
And if he lapses, I would doubt it's because of like a distraction, like, oh, let me smell the ground, but more so like because a guy came through chasing a football.
Yeah.
Like something completely out of the blue. I would expect that would still cause some deviation, but since you're already higher, boom, and right away, oh yeah, that's right, it's quickly returning.
Yeah.
Right? It's gonna be an instant response and no like space of like, but what's going on over here, guys? So when you work with him now, if you feel like, oh, I'm doing recalls of Gilmore and he is slow, play with the number. Okay? Our baseline already, I would tell you for both the recall and the heel is 70. Because as soon as you hit 70, that whole darting nonsense, like right away, got a lot better. And then he even self-corrected. Remember that time I asked you, I was like, oh, did you tap? And you're like, no, he came in himself. Because he was thinking 70 is going to kick in, so let me just fix it right away. Okay? So he's wanting to beat the punch.
You didn't want any of that shit.
Yeah. So then, same thing with the other stuff. It was like, okay, 70 is still slow, 75. But, we're going in smaller chunks here because we already know we're close. We just need to find what that number is, right?
Okay.
Now, let's say it's 85 for you.
Yeah.
Okay, to get that response, then I would just be conditioned to every time I'm at 85 when I'm going to work with Gilmore, so I always get consistency, right? Let's say for Matt, maybe 70 is good for the recall and the speed, but it's not good for like the sniffing stuff. Then same thing, you just play with that number until you find the number that fixes that, and it could be the exact same number. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't know. Gilmore knows, but that's what we're figuring out.
Okay.
So whenever you go into a training session, because right now he's got place, we did heel, we've done the recall, right?
Yep.
Let's say I start to blend commands together, so like practice the heel, the recall, and the place command, kind of as a routine, but just moving things around so it's not a pattern. Is you might find like, wow, like Gilmore really sucks at going to place when I do it with everything else, right?
Yeah.
That tells me his concept isn't great. So then I pull out place, I work on it by itself, because the topic is I need him to understand going to place much better. But the heel and the recall are good. So I keep working on this together, but this I need to pull out, get to he like kind of masters it, and then I can put it back in with everything else. It's like I have another client who's taught all the commands, sit, stay down, come place heel. And we last class learned the dog, everything was great, but the down. The down to the dog kept breaking position, or it took a long time to go down. Okay, and we learned that because we were practicing all at once. And I told her, I asked her, what's the command you practice the least? She says, the down. I'm like, I can tell. Because it's the thing that your dog's doing the most. Okay? So we isolated it. That's our topic. We're going to work on that. She would continue working on everything else because that was all good. Yeah. And then as soon as she felt this gets mastered, she can implement it. And if it's going well and the dog's understanding or performance of it is good, then we're good.
When you like drill commands, you like mix them up, like kind of place them and then recall them?
Yes. So, yes and no.
Trying to like do like solo train, like kind of place it and then call them back and then place it.
Right. So, we didn't go over stake, correct?
No.
Stake command?
Diesel, right? As of right now, we haven't done it yet.
No, yeah, we haven't done it.
That was remote.
Yeah.
Once we get the stay in, I give people like how many are you guys at 9 or 6 for class?
We're at 9 class.
You're at 9, okay. So this is number 5?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So typically how it works, like if I'm doing a full off leash program, the first 6 we're teaching all the commands on short leash, right?
Yep.
And then long leash for the recall. The second 6 if they're doing a full off leash, we start to practice everything on a long leash to build the off leash reliability. So once in the next class we'll cover the stay, and then depending on how much time we have, we'll probably work on the down as well. Otherwise we'll cover that in class 7. But once we hit that stay, I'm going to show you how to blend the stay, the heel, and the recall together. I don't like to do recalls from stationary positions. Okay. My reasoning is it teaches the dog to recognize when you're going to be at a certain distance and then they'll prematurely come to you. Okay, so it creates that problem. And I had that happen to a client. She's doing a 12-week program, her dog was doing great, and then she's like, man, Jesse, for the past 2 weeks my dog won't stay. And then I was like, and we had just started doing like more advanced stuff, and I was like, well, did you practice come from stay up from sit? And she said, yeah, that's why. So then we had to fix it, okay? Because the dog learned at some point you're gonna call me, so I'm gonna just jump the gun and just go to you, right? So for me, if I have the dog in a stationary position, I don't want them to mistake that. So to avoid that mistake, I never do a recall from a stationary position, but also I never release from a distance. Like he wouldn't be in a place and then 20 feet away, I would say break. Does that make sense? Yeah, I'm always right at your side. I don't care where in conjunction to him, but you're always in that immediate space when you release him. So we avoid that problem, okay? Plus, recall from stationary position is not realistic. Yeah. He's not going to be sitting somewhere waiting for you to call him. He's going to be actively doing something, okay? And even how we're practicing here, like I said, is not realistic. This is just for the foundation, and then you go out and like find things to make it realistic, like the squirrels and the prey drives and all that stuff. Now I do get clients that all they have, because like maybe they just moved here, and it's just them and their dog, and no one can help them, is they don't have a choice but to practice recall from the stationary position, because maybe the dog doesn't have prey drive or whatever. Does that make sense? Yeah. But then I tell them like, we're going to create a problem, and we're going to have to fix it. It just needs more work. Okay. So my preference is I don't do it. But if you decide like, no, I would like to, just know that we're going to have to fix it. Okay? So it's not that it's wrong. It's just it depends if you want more work. Okay? Other questions?
Just one question I have is more around behavior. Okay. So like creating like a negative marker using a remote, like do you have any like recommendations?
Sure. So
it's like thinking about like the cat. Like sometimes they'll have like his collar on, but like I wish you could tell him like that's not right. Like leave the cat alone.
Right. Have you you watched that video, right? The cat video?
Yeah.
Did you watch Richard's the old guy with the white hair?
Yeah, we watched that whole thing.
Okay. So there's a couple ways going about this.
Even like so he'll like sniff things like the litter too, for example, where it's like dude, like no, like that's not right.
Yeah, he's been in the litter a lot.
Yeah. Welcome to having a dog and cat.
Yeah.
So the thing about negative markers is that you always have to say something. Okay. So if you told them no, and you remoted him, he's not learning to not go to the cat litter. He's just learning to leave it alone and say no.
Okay.
Okay, so if you don't say no, technically he can mess with the cat.
Yeah, I'm just more worried about when he doesn't have the...
Oh,
yeah.
Right. So what I do is I remote with no warning, and I remote hack. So like, let's say, I'm at 127 and he looks at the cat litter. Oh,
that's like what the guy was doing in the video. It's like anytime he looks at the cat, like...
Yeah, boom, right there, right? But we're not saying anything. So the dog thinks like, shit, I can't even think about like looking at the cat litter. So if you can't even look at it, then you can't even get to it, okay? So like I had a client whose dog kept getting into the garbage, and they would 127 continuous, the dog, and the dog kept going in the garbage. And they're like, man, what the hell, like, it's so, that's the max power. And I was like, yeah, because dogs, one of physical animals, they're very physically tough. But then two, for the dog, it's worse to hit the garbage. So I said, instead, do 127 for just looking at the garbage. And then the problem stopped. Because they were waiting for the dog to be doing it, and it was worth it for her to take it.
I'm already here, like...
Yeah. And that's dog logic and human logic is different, okay? So for him, I would write down the stuff in the home that you just want him to not do, period, okay? Stuff that you don't want him to do, period. It's just remote, okay? No warning in my book, okay? If you say no, right? Like, so with my experience, and I'm a very consistent, like, harsh corrector when it comes to behavior, is that when the dog doesn't have a collar and they go no, like, they freak out. Because, like, because they're so used to me correcting them with no warning and stuff. They're like, what is this word? What does it mean? That they're like, they don't do anything, right? So it already kind of raises that awareness, and it kind of empowers people more, in my opinion. And the things that you want to control, you would have a cue first, right? So like, let's say you don't mind that he jumps on you, even on his own accord, right? But you want him to get off of you when you say so, then you need a cue there, right? Where he can, like, you walk home, you come inside, he jumps on you, you don't care, you praise him, and then you're like, off. And then there'd have to be remote behind that to empower that word, okay? Because it'd be unfair to just promote him out of nowhere. Yeah. Because he's not going to know when you're done. Yeah. Okay?
I guess like, I would just say, you've been consistent with, like, the walks. I mean, we've just been lapsing a bit, and how much we've been, I would say, giving him a shot.
Like, we feel bad for leaving that on him all day long in the house.
Oh, sure. So, I'll send you some videos. If you don't get an email from me, if you could shoot me an email, just saying, like, send us the bonker videos. I'm going to send you some 3 videos on how to correct them without the remote collar for inside the home. Because it's just a correction for things you don't want. Yeah. And we'll see how it plays out with the cat. Okay? Now, the video, one is how to make one is how to use one, and one is a trainer actively using it and uses it with considerable force. Okay? So and it's a puppy. Okay? So you whack the crap out of the puppy to correct them. Okay. Because you have to make it very,
very physical dog.
Yeah. I mean, he's tough. Like, you're at 70 just for, like, obedience stuff. I had a client where it took us 105 to get her dog to lay down. Wow. And he wasn't being stubborn or anything. He was just so distracted and anxious by the environment. Yeah. She needed 105.
I got up to 147 the first time this past weekend.
For what, recall?
No, it wasn't recall. The dog, he just wouldn't let this dog boy go. And it was like turning into a situation.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because it was a pit bull and him playing tug of war with a frisbee that was about to break in half. So I was like, okay, like, this is, like, I've let this play out long enough. Sure. The release, recalled him, didn't do it, so I'm like, okay, like, now it's...
Sure. And then what happened at 127?
He came back. So I took all the way up to 127. Like, I had to do 127 and continuous to get him to
Right, yeah. So, I mean, but welcome to having a dog. Yeah. This is why, for me, e-collar is such an effective tool. Yeah. I don't know why, maybe it's just to help people see the world, how they think that just food only fixes all these issues, right? Like, well, one, if the dog's off leash, how does that even work, right? But also, like, prong collar, great tool, but nothing, like, you can't add 127 continuous to prong collar, So that's what makes this tool so versatile for me. It's like on, off leash, no matter what mode you're in, like, as long as I have the appropriate collar and know how to use it, make him do something, because that's what you did. You're just like, we've done training, you've had a couple weeks of practice, but I'm going to make you do this.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's just like education, because even when you're fostering dogs, we would take in the applications, and one of the questions would be like, how do you plan on training your dog?
Yeah.
And a lot of them would just say, oh, positive reinforcement. But I think people were afraid to say, like, if we did like almost like a negative or a collar, then you're not going to get chosen.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot of it just education.
Oh, no, for sure. A lot of rescues are positive only.
Yeah.
That's why people ask like, why I don't do more stuff, because not a lot of rescues like the message. You know, I work with 2 rescues right now, and one of them they're kind of like, they'll do it if the dog's really bad, but for me, I do it with every dog. I don't care if they're good or bad, right?
Yeah.
And the other one, they're more open to it, but it's kind of the same thing, because then for them, they're like, well, then it looks bad, because then the dog is like, if the dog has, if the potential adopter has a problem with the way the dog was trained, he doesn't want that, to reinforce it, that is not the person for the animal.
Yeah.
It's common sense, right? So I'll tell them, like, it's going to take longer for the dog to get adopted, but when it does get adopted, you're going to have a much higher chance of success of that dog staying, because the owner's like, yeah, sure, okay, it's public training, sure, I'll do it, you know? And then I come in and I help kind of close that gap.
Like dog psychology, like, there's nothing in a dog's like natural environment that can be positive reinforcement.
No.
Like it's all
Positive reinforcement is negative punishment. Okay, so you know the 4 quadrants? So it's positive punishment, positive reinforcement, negative punishment, negative reinforcement. Okay? All it means is add something bad or take away something bad, add something good, take away something good. Okay? So for a dog, if a dog is like towering over another dog, this is positive punishment because it's adding confrontational pressure. That's something the other dog doesn't like, right? As soon as this dog complies, this dog takes away confrontational pressure, so they're taking away something bad, which ends up being something good. So that's the only thing, like, in the world, like a dog won't give another dog a treat for doing something, you know what I'm saying? That's their world. And that's why this is so effective, because you're adding something bad, right?
Yeah.
And then you're taking it away once he does what you want. And you can add food as an added reinforcer, but not necessary. Okay? So.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
I think it flaps a little bit on
Yeah, so in the house, we're just using the remote, like, for the cat litter, and the trash.
Anything you
And
don't
nothing, but, like, things that you're okay with, but, like, need to have some sort of, not recall, but whatever, that warrants a word.
Anything you want to eliminate is just correction.
Okay.
Anything you want to control, word first,
Okay, that's it.
then correction.
Okay.
So now there's a warning. If I say off and you don't respond, I'm going to remote you. Jump off.
Right, thinking back on the cat situation, like he was going inch by inch, like one-on-one when everything happened.
Sure.
And now I think
Oh, sure. He's learned to play that. Yeah, that little
So
threshold.
I was like, you know, like the cat will hit him, like he'll
Yeah,
stop
we
doing
just thought
the
the
shit.
cat would.
Did the cat not do anything?
She did. He swapped at him. But I just like.
It takes a while for the cat to swat at him. Like they'll be staring at you
Yeah.
like 20, 30 minutes, I'd say.
Yeah, so then what you have to do there, because the cat has more patience, right? Because it's all dictated by how the cat responds. Because some people say my cat's an asshole, won't even let the dog near him.
I wish that was the case. Like, that would have solved it.
Yeah. So now you have to step in for the cat, right? Because then he knows he can push the boundary with the cat, and by that point it's already not too late, but it's already like he's too far gone. And I would just do it right off the bat, like leave the cat alone.
Yeah, both situations, like the walking, I think we've been a little bit more lax, especially on like letting him sniff stuff. I think like you gotta, if he leaves your side, we gotta start correcting.
Yeah.
And that 70, like if you jump out the door right already at 70, I would say chances are very unlikely you're gonna see this now, because you're already at that number.
Yeah.
You know. So if it was at 20 to 30, that makes sense to me of why he started pressing that boundary, because he's like, oh sure, I can get away with it.
And his heels kind of sometimes they inch a little forward, and then he hears the jingle of the collar, moves back. So I think 70 will correct all of that.
Yeah, and I think also just thinking about the cat.
Yeah.
Don't give him that inch. We've been giving it more and more.
So what it all comes down to is the number.
Yeah. So which I always that's super common, but it's super common that people give the dog the chance to be a good dog, and I use every opportunity to make the dog be a good dog, right?
Yeah.
That's how I build consistency. So like my pit, you know, I got her at 3 months, and I trained her for like the first 2 years of her life. Like everything that we did, even if it was just a walk, like that's training. Every time we went to the store and I'm reinforcing stuff, that was training. Even though I'm not actively teaching the skill. It was applying and reinforcing the skill.
Yeah.
And now, like, I have her, I don't even say anything. She just defaults in all these behaviors. So, like, the other day I was working with her with a reactive dog, and I just walked in, and she is like the just most passive energy, you know, and the owner's like, oh my God, your dog is so good. And I was telling her, like, because her dog kept getting up and fidgeting. And I'm like, you need to be consistent with keeping your dog in stationary, because she's struggling with reactivity and stuff. And I'm like, look, I just walked in, I didn't say anything to my dog, and when my dog used it, she just sat and she's been completely like this calm. I'm like, yeah, because it's been instilled in her and reinforced and you know, rehearsed so much that that's just her.
Yeah.
So that's how we get consistency. Okay. But you know, I'm a dog trainer. This is my career, so I work with. Obviously, going to work with my dogs a lot more than you're going to work with your own dog. So there's no rush to these things, but I will tell you, anything that you're struggling with, all that stuff, it was just number.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll follow up with the video if we don't hear from you.
Oh yeah, it's a bonker video.
Bonker video. Okay.
Yeah. And that's a good tool to have because I don't want you to become dependent on the collar inside the home. Right? Inside the home, it's easier to address stuff because there's not other stimuli other than like your cat or the litter.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to be consistent unless people come over that's different. You know, then it's like, oh, guests are coming over, we'll collar them up because we're going to need more control. But outside is when, you know, you need the collar to reinforce things. Okay. You would not use the bonker to like correct them for not coming to you or for like not sitting. The bonker is strictly for stopping behaviors you don't want.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds great.
Anything else?
That's it.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. Alrighty. Thank you guys.
Oh, thank you.
If you have any questions, you let me know.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll see you in a week, okay?
Yep.